Hello, I am Ras Ariel Tafari from the tribe of Judah, without a vow, God willing. And on the Sabbath day, I have a quick sermon to make. It has to do with human health. I happen to know some things that I have been blessed with, and I'd like to share these with the general public as a recommendation. Recently, I saw a man at a mass who appeared to be blind. And I thought, somewhere in the Holy Scrolls it says something like, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gives sight to the blind." And we know that with God, nothing shall be impossible. The miracles performed by the one whom the world knows as the Lord Jesus Christ. In Hebrew, we call him Adonai Yeshua HaMashiach. Our boss, he will save the anointed. Now, it is recorded, and it is accurately and true that what is written there really happened. It is recorded that our boss, he even healed people to the point where he was able to cause those that were already dead to rise to life again. Now, if our Lord did that, and he told us and he said, faith moves mountains, okay, then surely it is possible for every one of us to have faith and to trust in God's mercy, because God is love, the highest, purest form. In Greek would be classified as agape, yet specifically that is a divine attribute that we're speaking about. In the Psalm somewhere it says, "I am like a green olive tree planted in the house of the Lord. I trust in the mercies of God forever," or "I trust in the sure mercies." Trust in the attribute of God's love and his abounding, bountiful, providential goodness. What we really know to be true and we've experienced is that the providence, God's love and providence, is actually so powerful. It is more than we can ever imagine. So what I'm saying is that there is literally scientific and historical evidence that what we know as God can also heal people, restore their sight, even physically, and even resurrect the dead. This is true. I didn't see it with my own eyes personally. I'm only 38 years young, forever young, hopefully. Yet I know that it happened, and there is more evidence, my friends, that these things that are written of in the Holy Law, in the Holy Torah, and the Holy Bible, these things really did happen. There's actually, look, if you look at it neutrally, there's more evidence that these things really did happen than that they didn't happen and that they can't be performed according to modern scientific views and so on. There's actually more evidence that indicates that those things really happened. It's like there's about 65 or 70% of evidence out there that shows that actually happened, than the 35 or 40% that says, no, how does that work? How do you put your hands on somebody and they're healed all of a sudden? We have to remember that as human beings, we exist in a divine and a blessed way. Both, there's a physical and a metaphysical level to our existence. Listen, what is this? That's a breath of life. That's a real thing, okay? Now, listen. What I am telling you is that the Creator has the power and the capability to actually restore your sight and your health and to give it to you and to keep you healthy for all of your life, no matter what. This is according to divine knowledge and truth. and it's compatible with science also. We have to remember that most of the things in modern scientific research are discovering that certain biblically, spiritually expressed truths are actually valid, such as, for example, faith moves mountains. Okay, I read once that one of the most important things in the life of a senior citizen is to maintain a positive attitude and to stay optimistic after, well, generally, but also after an accident. One of the most important things on the road to recovery is to maintain and to keep a positive attitude, have a good expectation, right? To stay positive, have a good expectancy, almost like have faith in God's goodness. You don't even have to be religious to do this, just stay positive. Because, see, there is also historical evidence that indicates that the body, the human body, actually has the ability and the capability to heal itself, to regenerate itself. This is a scientifically proven and historically verifiable fact. This is known as, these things are classified into the category of miracles nowadays. Yet, listen, we know that miracles are simply a result of God's magnificent wisdom. Now, He's given us both wisdom and power, right? Yet, moreover, it's your faith. So what I'm saying is that anybody out there, right, who has to have their sight restored, listen to me. Your sight can be restored. And it can even be restored by your own inner metaphysical and even physical working mechanism within your divine human being, even within your own energetic, living life force and being. Yet the first and absolutely most imperative step to making this possible is that you have to actually trust, and you should know intelligently that it is possible. It's possible. It is possible for people's sight to be restored. And I'm not even talking about like super complicated medical procedures. No. I'll tell you why. So this goes into something in the area of science and metaphysical, but also quantum physical science. It is true that, we as human beings, I'll prove this real simply. I'll prove to you all without a vow that this is true and how this works and that your sight can be restored, even if you just have some good faith to begin with. The reason is because we as human beings are creative. So we have ideas, we have an imagination, and we have a system whereby we sort of almost like evaluate, but also have a immediate creative operational guiding of reality in our lives. And a lot of it has to do with our own perspective and what we personally sort of can cover and comprehend in terms of what we intelligently know and also accept as and can accept as being possible. So what I'm saying is that you have to be open-minded safely to the possibility of a greater, higher intelligence at work within yourself that can also upgrade yourself, and that's possible. And it is something that it's true. So what I'm saying is like, it's almost like going on a journey, okay? There's a land, it's a beautiful land, but it's dangerous physically. It can be dangerous to go there. But it's scientifically proven that if you're safe, you practice safety protocols, you can travel through this terrain and you'll be fine and it'll be a beautiful journey. It's just that you have to be safe. Because, right? Safety first. Well, if you go and look at this and you say, I see that it's possible, it's not impossible, but I don't think that's going to work. No, that can't be. That's impossible. Well, then guess what? That's what it is. Because you've evaluated it yourself that way, you see it that way yourself, that's how it is for you, by your own choice. Whereas, the intelligent person will go, all right, that's dangerous, that's a challenge, yet it's proven, and some have proven, and some have done it, that can be accomplished according to a certain technique and a certain protocol. And it has been before. There's records of it. It's happened. And another thing, just because you didn't read about it on the internet yet, it can still have happened. There are a lot of things that have happened that are miracles that not necessarily directly written or pop up in a search immediately. So now it's even possible that it can happen to you because you have, in fact, already given it the chance and the possibility of happening. And let me tell you, beyond that, there are ways to facilitate the body's natural regenerative and healing capabilities using wisdom and certain health improvement methods. That process itself has a lot to do with timing. Now, I'm going to refer you to a book now, to the Holy Bible, first of all, and then to a saying that says, from Psalm 111, I think the last verse, a part of the verse says, the beginning of wisdom is a fear of God, or let's say the healthy respect. Actually, a healthy looking to and trusting in, and then also drawing providence from, a healthy perception of God, okay? Trusting in his attribute of goodness and loving kindness. And I'm going to refer you to another book now called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life by H. Spencer Lewis. Rest in peace. The first thing is that now you have a knowledge that it's possible. And it is. What I'm telling you is the truth. Listen, it's almost as logical also as this. Anything that a human being can undo, you can technically correct. Even that. Of course, it's a matter of time, too. It's possible to have miraculous healing occur, and it's not something otherworldly. It's a real thing, and it's based on the body's natural, divinely supplied abilities, capabilities, and self-regenerative capability and capacity. Yet for those type of things to happen, the correct parameters have to be regarded, identified, and timely windows identified for such a thing to occur or to be most probable to occur. Yet the first thing, it's almost like you got to have hope. It's almost like they say, never give up. Yeah, because if you give up, you're giving up. You can still keep hope. Even if it seems illogical, you can always have good hope and a good faith. And through that, you're even creating or making it possible so that such a miraculous thing can even happen. And you don't have to listen. The other thing is, because you might be asking yourself, thinking, look, how in the world is that going to work though? Okay, I know it's possible, but how in the world is that actually going to be, how is that going to happen, right? Okay, I know there's a higher intelligence that's universal, and it can do this. Just like a genius scientist can invent some miraculous medicine and a cure, and it can be administered. This has happened before. I'm not talking about things that are too high. Those are real things. But listen, to even have the acceptance of a possibility of it being possible already makes it possible in the first place. This is really serious. Secondarily, as to how it will work and how and when, that's another story. But you don't have to worry about that. It's almost like you got to take the first step and have faith. Another thing, listen, you're supposed to honor a physician, a doctor, right? A medical practitioner, a legit and a good and a successful doctor, healthcare provider, medical practitioner, or physician, right? Or a healer, right? Yet, a legitimate, successful healthcare practitioner, doctor, practitioner, healer, MD, etc., with all due respect, right? Rarely, my friends, is a prophet in terms of that. A lot of times, and we've heard of this happening before, that I remember I met a woman in Augsburg in Germany once who told me a story, and she said, the doctors said it was over, basically. And she had somebody visit her who was like a healer, who was probably he might have been, a Christian or something. He had some kind of good faith, obviously. And this person visited her and she was healed after the doctor said it was done and over with. So listen, we're getting into one area that's important to pay attention to, a prophet, right? There is actually, in the Old Testament, there's a couple of prerequisites that determine whether somebody's a true or a false prophet. Basically, the idea is if what this person says comes to pass, then, this person got a message from God, brought it to the people, and he's telling the truth. But listen, somebody who's a doctor, no matter how intelligent, right, they can give you an honest assessment according to their knowledge. But a doctor is rarely, let's say, qualified to be a prophet. In other words, what I'm saying is that a doctor is allowed to heal people, yet a doctor should not prophesy, and even prophesy to people that, listen, if you don't take this medicine, you're going to die. I mean, this